Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Pod Style Studios podcast, episode 1. So this is really exciting. I'm really excited to have Steve Chavez here, a good friend of mine. You are a managing
management consulting
executive at Accenture.
Correct.
So just give us a little highlight about kind of what your job is and maybe a little bit about your background.
Yeah, Accenture, large management consulting company. As a matter of fact, yesterday we had to do a check in a meeting we were in. We're up to 801,000 employees,
Okay.
All around the world, right? So we consult to the Fortune 500, Fortune 5,000, and then large governments and government agencies around the world. Specifically, what I do is the management consulting part of it. So I'm not a tech person. We have tech consulting. I'm more about your organization and your people. Mm-hmm. So when we consult with you, I'll handle all the getting you through the change, making sure that whatever that new North Star looks like in the future, that we actually reach that, and then make sure everyone's trained up.
Right. So, one of the things that we've done here at PodStyle, the reason we created PodStyle is because we looked around and we realized no one was providing access to this type of production and strategy for the business community.
Absolutely not.
And really it's designed for the executive level. And what we found, and I spent 30 years in enterprise tech, and I realized one thing: I'm one person. I am one-to-one. And today it's important to be able to scale yourself. And so we think this gives the executive an opportunity to really do that. But in your profession and in your role, how important is it to really connect with those high-level individuals that you're working with and executing missions for?
Well, there's really two high-level audiences, right? You need to connect, at my level, you need to connect with the C-suite or the executive managers at the client. That's one high-level audience, right? And then the other high-level audience is within Accenture.
Right.
If you work for a large organization and you're an executive, you know that branding is a big thing. You need to brand yourself in the right way, and the brand needs to evolve over time so that your network inside your organization knows you, or at least has a hint about, could this guy really be the guy we need on this job, right? And then the same for that outside networking and getting to know, if you're on an engagement with a client, their C-suite or the executives just below that. Same thing. They got to know what your brand is. And that's the way Accenture works.
Right.
I'm starting a new engagement now, and we're putting together all the branding for all of the leaders that are on there, because we understand we got the gig, but we need to sell this team, right?
Right.
And then just to bring that comment full circle, the way I got this gig, my newest client, was because of networking and branding. A higher level executive at Accenture was in the office and was asking me, hey, we're trying to put this team together. Who could do this? Asking me if I knew someone at my executive level that could do this. And I said, I just rolled off my last client. And she says, you're available? Oh, we got to, she knew me. She knew the brand. She knew what I could do. So yes, absolutely. It's about those two audiences, and it's about developing a brand. And this kind of tool that you have helps executives, right? If you have this on your social media or whatever, because a lot of our clients, they pay us a lot of money at Accenture. These aren't small operations. It's in the hundreds of millions of dollars in consulting fees each time. They'll go out to social media and check you out. Sometimes we're required to actually provide our social media links. A couple of clients ago, it was a pretty big deal. We hired an outside consultant to rewrite all of our social media bios and everything else, because we know this happens.
Right.
So if you can have something like this, it would be a great advantage.
So the way that we look at it is what we tell clients and prospective clients and people asking, what's this podcast thing you're doing, right? It's about exposure, and it's about reach, and it's about scalability. People will consume your content without telling you. What I've noticed is, hey, I've been watching your content. Well, you're not liking it, you're not commenting, but they're telling me physically, verbally that they've been seeing it. So if you just put it out there, people will see it. But what, from our perspective, and what makes us different is we're curated, we're strategic, we're optimized. We want people to see your content, but we want the right people to see your content.
Correct.
We want it to make impact. And so one of the things that we make sure that our clients know that we do for them is we curate their content. What are you going to say? And then how are you going to say it? And then we take that and we optimize it. So we make sure people can find it who are looking for your subject matter. Because you could have the greatest thing in the world, but if no one can find it, you're just krill. Right. And so that kind of comes to, we're in 2025 going into 2026. There's a lot of AI out there. Everybody knows what it is now. But there's a trend going on with the younger generation, and that is they're doing just large image file dumps. They're not using filters. They're not using AI. They're just saying, here's who I am. Do you think there's a trend from consuming AI-generated content to coming back to more original kind of content, or is it kind of swaying back and forth?
Well, in the consumer world, I think, again, that's driven by the younger generation. I think it is swinging back, only because anything AI-generated, including music or images, that's not a wowie-zowie thing for them anymore. It just is what it is. And, I get it. That's cool. Maybe in a couple of weeks I'll see another cool thing that's AI. But what's really cool is organic. And that's why that generation is going to drive it back. Me, I don't have a big interest in organic stuff. I like some of the curated content, AI-generated content. But from the consumer and the younger consumer, I think it is moving in that direction. In business, it's not about organic. I mean, well, if I take a customer through change at the end of the 2-year, 4-year contract, that's basically becomes organic. But what I'm saying is the actual development of business deliverables are still organic, but it is so accelerated with AI.
Right.
And from the large business executive point of view, or even if you're not an executive in a large corporation, if you're in a large corporation, I would think of two things regarding AI. Has my company embraced this? If not, look for another job.
Right.
And I'll expand on that a little later. If they have, then you better get ahead of it. Everybody's worried about this is going to take my job, this is going to take my job. And it can, and it will. But if you stay on top of it, then you'll be able to perform at a higher level because you're not starting at ground one. Some of the tools inside a company like Accenture, the AI tools, are extremely sophisticated. And they can do, depending on the documents I have to deliver to a client, some of these tools within 20 or 30 seconds, maybe 2 minutes at the most, will generate the document 50% complete.
Right. I have a theory. I think that people may be looking at AI and fearing it the wrong way. I think it's the opposite. I think that those who are sharp enough and are forward-thinking enough to learn these tools and implement them will be able to make their own way in this world. And it's the corporations and the companies which are going to have a hard time keeping the people who can actually leverage these tools.
Absolutely. Funny you say that because we've had some initial meetings as a team for this new client, which I'm not going to mention. So all of us in leadership positions are starting to formulate how it's going to go. And I was called out by the actual account leader as the person who's going to make sure we leverage AI correctly.
Right.
Everything from the delivery of deliverables, we call them in my business. Those are documents and plans and strategies and so forth, all the way through actual AI agents. And this is something I don't think people realize is already here.
Mm-hmm.
If part of our consulting engagement to a client is a complete reorganization, so think of a org chart, right? Branches down.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a certain team that does a certain process. Here's how many supervisors. Here's how many, frontline people who are actually clicking and doing
Mm-hmm.
the tasks. Well, in that final, we already do this. It's already started. There are people in those boxes. There are AI agents
Mm-hmm.
in those boxes, and there are AI bots. Those three workers are what is now planned in a company's organization from the beginning. So it's already here.
Do you think there'll be AI bosses? Do you think there'll one day be an AI CFO?
I don't think there'll be an AI CFO, but there will be an AI supervising financial officer,
Yeah.
right? It'll all be checked by the CFO or whatever, because that's almost, that's basically here.
AI HR.
AI HR. And the reason is it's the most democratic, inexpensive in a way, technology I've ever seen in my professional life, right? And I've seen everything. I've seen the beginning of the local area network. I worked for a company where we sold LAN in a box. You got the cards to put in the PC, you got the cables, all that stuff. And that had big impact, right? And then wireless and everything else that we can talk about. Machine learning, which is another AI, that was pretty impactful, and we use that every day at Accenture. But AI, large language model, has been adopted faster than anything I've seen. And for the normal person on the street, maybe we can get into this a little later. I don't think they realize how much it's been adopted.
Mm-hmm.
It's everywhere. You can't avoid it, right?
Right.
But because it's the tools are easy. 2 weeks ago, I was in a meeting, and they were introducing another piece of AI. There's, I don't know, I deal with 20 or 30 pieces of AI every week at Accenture that are specific to my job. This was a studio, an AI studio, where you can create an AI agent. So within 15 minutes, we created an AI agent that was doing some sophisticated things, going out to different databases, using APIs to do this and blah, blah, blah. And that's, none of us in the room know a bit of coding. That's why it's going to remain impactful and just accelerate. It's the ease of actually building some of these things and using it.
Well, what happens to all the frontline coders?
Well, there are some obvious casualties in this, right?
Right.
You mentioned coding. The big software companies that we partner with all the time, Oracle, SAP, Microsoft, they already have programming agents in there.
Right.
You need to create some Python code. Well, it's going to crank it out in a couple minutes, and then you change about 10% of it, and you're done. So it still needs the programmer because AI is not perfect, but it gets better, right? Even on a lower level, I think I told you this story a few months ago. I had to write a macro in Word. Well, I haven't done that in 100 years. I just asked AI, write this macro, described it in detail.
Right.
And this was right at the beginning, about a year and a half ago, when the AI was really taking off. And so I was timing everything. 22 seconds, it had the macro. So yeah, programming is one thing. A lot of, if you think about services and like legal services or real estate services or anything to do with documents or contracts or summaries or whatever.
Right. I think there will be a time soon where a legal case will be argued by an AI and the AI will win.
Yeah. I mean, you can't well, maybe it'll come to the point where you license an AI agent. But so you have the licensed attorney there, but 90% of what he's using was through AI. There's no doubt.
So, kind of what we're about is establishing, kind of coming back to the branding piece and how it all kind of connects together. How are you going to brand yourself? What mechanisms are you going to use? And what's more important is how you present yourself. And so when people tell us, well, there's all this AI stuff and everybody can do it on the phone. Well, what we tell our executives, and we have clients who agree, we have very bespoke clients.
Yeah.
They are very wealthy. They're highly educated. Many are MDs, MBAs, PhDs, etc. They expect to see us for who we are, right? Because they are used to white glove service. And so, we do a lot of AI. We build a lot of our own AI, but we also want to make sure that we're genuine, right? And do you see a balance there in kind of how things are moving?
Well, I see
forward?
a balancing there, right?
Right.
And in this format, and you guys are good at this. At the end of this, if somebody watches this, this should have helped my brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're getting at. But you should have the forethought of what is this actually going to demonstrate? I have to demonstrate the skills that I have, the experience that I have, but increasingly, I better demonstrate that I understand this AI thing, because I think that's going to become a differentiator in branding. And only, I think, video content and putting the message out in the video format regarding this is the best way to go. Take a leap into the future, right? Okay, I'm trying to decide between this, and these three providers of whatever it is, right? They all have education levels that are cool. They all have this experience, blah, blah, blah. They say some things about being on the cutting edge. But if you watch a video and someone talks about AI in a convincing way, because not only do they understand it, know it, but they use it, I'm going to decide.
Right.
Because more and more, the decisions are going to be made on who to do business with, because they're taking advantage of AI. Number one, they're getting at cost efficiencies in their business probably. Number two, they're thinking ahead. Number three, it's probably going to be faster, cheaper, more accurate. So to get back at the branding inside Accenture, if someone like me is not branding themselves as a person who knows the AI tools, understands how it works, and actually uses them, somebody else is going to be chosen to be the executive on that next.
So maybe in your case, it's a focus on AI in the future and how to use all these infinite number of tools Accenture is creating. For someone else, it may be understanding a certain segment in medical care, HVAC, plumbing, et cetera, et cetera. So what you just said leads to a term we have coined, trust leader.
Yep.
You've heard thought leader for a couple of decades. Well, this takes it to the next. It's trust leader. I have to like you. I have to understand you. More importantly, I got to trust you. I got to know that you know what you're talking about, that you can hit the ground running, you can limit my liabilities, and that I can trust that you will exceed expectations.
Yep.
Right. And so when you're dealing with human beings and they're watching and hearing you, they're consuming you. They're seeing your how you speak and all your different nuances, et cetera, et cetera. And so what we think is AI is great. We use AI to support our content and our people.
Correct.
It's used as a tool and as a solution because people can spot it very quickly.
Hey, it's interesting you say that, John. At Accenture, we use something called the trust equation, which can be used small business, medium business, enterprise, large business, because it comes down to the people, right? You're trusting the people on the team. You're trusting the salesperson. You're trusting your counterpart with the client. So it's you try to increase this trust equation. It's a ratio. I'll try to paint a picture here. So a ratio, right? You have in the top you have the numerator, and then you have the denominator at the bottom. Well, there's only one thing at the bottom, and it's called self-orientation. So we at Accenture are very good when we communicate, either in videos, we do a lot of videos, or in person, or now it's on, the meeting in Microsoft Teams or Zoom or whatever. Right. We're very conscious about, is this person I'm sitting across from only thinking, well, Steve wants to get this done because he's going to get some kind of bonus or something or promotion. He's so self-oriented, right? So we work very hard on not portraying that. You want to reduce
Right.
the bottom number in this equation. And then on the top, we work very hard, and anyone in any size of business can use these concepts. At the top, we have credibility, reliability, and intimacy. And you add all those up, and hopefully those are a big number with a small number of self-orientation at the bottom. And that's how you get to trust. We have learned over time, if you deliver what you promised, your credibility starts to go up, right? So that one can be affected over time. We get back to branding. The way branding helps in trust is when you come to the relationship for the first time, you have a certain reputation or brand that will help with credibility right away, right? And then the other two, reliability in the corporate world, it's, are you showing up at the meeting when you said you're going to show up? Did you deliver what you said you're going to deliver?
You get your TPS reports in on time?
Right. So that one kind of takes some time. And then intimacy at the corporate level is, do you have conversations with your counterparts and your client that aren't all about work, or are they about work but the troubled parts about it and then whatever. So as you build credibility, reliability, and intimacy at the top to a bigger number and reduce how the client is seeing you, they're not seeing you self-oriented, that ratio becomes a bigger number. And that's what really trust is about in business, whether it's small business or big business.
Right.
That's really what it's about, because you're dealing one-on-one at some point with somebody.
Right. You know, if I'm dealing with someone, I'm on the customer side, and I feel like I'm just an ends to a means, or if I'm just a book deal, I can pick up on that very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes time to renew the contract, they're going to be looking.
Right.
You know, that's what's going to happen.
Right.
Because, okay, we got that done or whatever, but they didn't value me. It was all about them.
Right.
That doesn't cut it in the long term.
Well, you know, one of my visions here is to, you know, have executive level individuals from all backgrounds and verticals and industries use this as a way not just to promote themselves and brand themselves within their company, but to take the next step in their career challenge, right? Because it's a big world out there, and you want to be able to be seen. And today, you've got to set yourself apart. You can't just depend on a LinkedIn profile or a resume.
Doesn't work.
You've got to let people know who you are, what you're about. Are you a good fit? So you want that leader, that hiring manager, that CEO, that consultant to say, that's the person that could hit the ground running. I've consumed what they're saying. I see who they are. I trust them enough to say, bring that person to the front of the line.
Well, and you're talking real life. That's how I'm consulting to this current client. What we call in Accenture and in the consulting business, the client account lead said, no, I already have the team. And the other executive said, verbatim, I'm going to say this because it's exactly what you said. You don't understand. I have to have someone I can trust. I have to have Steve. And that's how I got my next gig inside Accenture.
Right.
It's a combination of having the right network we talked about, having the right branding, but then this trust thing, right?
Right.
If you get those three together, whether you're trying to get customers or if you're an executive trying to stay employed in your company,
right?
That's how it works.
Well, let me ask you this: we've actually received some calls from some very, very large global companies, individuals within these companies, who wanted to use this as a service, not only to scale themselves but to brand themselves. They got shut down pretty quickly because of legal.
Depending on what you're going to talk about,
a lot of times you have to go to the PR media team, et cetera, et cetera. What do you think large corporations like Accenture, like Accenture, would look at this as part of being utilized for their benefit?
Well, as we're sitting here, I've been thinking, would Accenture dig this kind of a video thing? Because we're very into branding. When we hire new folks, this year, the year before, and the year before that, I trained all the 300 or 400 or 500 analysts we hired in North America. And one of the things in the curriculum is branding already. So we start that whole branding conversation immediately, and the networking one, right? And we have tools. We have these one-pager kind of ads that you have ready to go. I was just asked for mine today because they're going to present it to the client. So as we're talking here, my mind was racing going, wouldn't that be cool if we could deliver a video? Because it's so much more convincing. And if the client saw like this video and me talking, they're going to get a whole lot more out of it because you see the passion.
Right. It's not a sales pitch.
It's not, right? You're just, it would have to be done in a very specific way for corporations like Accenture to accept because of the legal thing and all that.
Right.
But I can see it happening. We kind of have done it on this new consulting engagement. The industry lead for what we're doing, we use her. She did a TED Talk, and we did one of those telestration where it looks like you're drawing as you're talking. Those are in the content that we deliver to the customer. So to answer your question, I think if this is done correctly, corporations would use it, and if you're an executive in a corporation, you're going to want to use it.
Right.
This is truly a differentiator when you can brand yourself and put yourself out there in this format.
Right. It's all we know it's being consumed. Right. And the reality is it swayed a national election. No matter what side
no
of
matter
the
what you
fence
say.
fall on, it caused millions of people to take action. And our position is imagine what it can do for your career, imagine what it can do for your business, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, this all ties it together, right? This gets at, this is the way to network now. This is the way to brand yourself. This is the way to add to the trust equation. Because someone can look at me, even on this kind of content we did here, which wasn't directed at trying to do a trust video, but they can tell I'm not self-orientated. I'm curious about my client. How come that's happening? How can I fix that? What am I? You can easily tell that from a video. And then the top of the trust equation, well, this guy's accomplished, So the credibility and all that goes up.
Right.
So, so that's a good question. And I think it has a future in this. It definitely does.
Man, I really appreciate your time. And thanks for tuning in.
All right. Thanks, guys.